Hey everybody, this is Harry coming to you, Grumpy Old Gentleman on Film. June's pick, 1963's Charade, starring Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn. Made during Cary Grant's twilight years in films. Um, he would retire from filmmaking 3 years after this. He made his last film. He made two films after this, uh, and which was the Father Goose with Leslie Caron in 1964, and then in 1966 he made Walk Don't Run, that was filmed during the Tokyo Olympics in 1964, but wasn't released till 1966, and that starred Samantha Agar and Jim. Uh, it doesn't matter because we're not here to talk about them. But anyways, Jim Hutton. Sorry, Jim Hutton. And so this was the second to or third to last film that he made. Audrey Hepburn has been very successful. Uh, with her films, she has done My Fair Lady, Roman Holiday, and other films up to this point. Breakfast at Tiffany's, and there was a big age gap on this here. Um, Cary Grant was 59 years old at the time when this film was being shot, and Audrey Hepburn was 34, 33, 34 at the time. So there was almost a 30-year difference in them, and Cary Grant was very uncomfortable with that fact. So the script was switched around to that Cary Grant wouldn't be chasing her because he thought it was unacceptable. So it had her chasing him, and of course during the film you would see that play off. He would make comments about calling her a child and talking about his age and stuff like that. So, which made it some comedy in this film. It's a great film. I've always loved it, except for when I saw it on VHS and the pan and scan. I didn't like it at all. And then I got a cheap DVD of it and watched it um, in its original format. It was still kind of sketchy, as they say, but watchable, and I enjoyed it a lot. So when this was available, I purchased it. So I'm not going to go too much into details because if you watch the other Grumpy Old Men, they kind of tell you the plot. Basically, I'll tell you a little bit though. Audrey Hepburn um, decides to leave her husband. She goes back to Paris after she's met Cary Grant. And she goes home to her husband and finds out there's nothing in the house and all that. He had been murdered, but she did not know it at the time. And then the detectives come in and mention that she had passed away. And then she gets a call from Walter Matthau. And Walter Matthau plays Bartholomew, and he is playing a CIA agent. Well, he works as an administrator for the CIA, and said there were men would be after her for money. So she gets called down to, after the funeral, gets called down to his office, and he explains what happened at the three guys. Okay, so let me back up a little bit here. So there were three guys that come to the funeral. They kind of show up. One of them was James Coburn. He comes in with a mirror, puts it on her nose, and makes sure he's dead. Ned Glass comes in. He sneezes. He's allergic to everything, apparently. He sneezes. The body doesn't move. And then George Kennedy walks in, who has a hook in his hand. He lost his hand, and sticks him with a pin, and finds out he was actually dead and got pissed off and walked out. So kind of strange thing at funeral. Kind of funny to watch, too. It's got black humor. So anyways, this is mentioned due to this meeting, and then the story goes on from there, and she has no way of knowing who to believe in this film. The standouts for in this film for me were the playfulness of Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn. Jay had mentioned that Audrey Hepburn kind of carried this film, even though Cary Grant got top billing. Um, and that's true. This was an Audrey Hepburn film. Um, Cary Grant was there, guided, was throughout the film, but this is actually an Audrey Hepburn film, and I think that was done intentionally. Because, like I said before, Cary Grant at this point in time, this is why he retired from filmmaking, was because nobody would ever believe a 60-some-odd-year-old man would be a romantic lead with these younger women. And he said it's time to kind of pass the torch on. So that's what he did. This has come up in other films before, maybe Funny Face with Fred Astaire and Leslie Caron. And because Fred Astaire was in his 50s and 60s, and he was, romancing 20-year-old women. And it was kind of, I guess for the time it was okay, but if you look at it now, it's kind of creepy. So when Cary Grant knew when to bow out of the filmmaking, and so that's why I think in this film, that's why I say it's more like a Audrey Hepburn film. Let's see, yeah, the highlights between them playing, flirting with each other in a certain way, him resisting. The scene where he jumps in the shower with all his clothes on and makes like he's bathing is pretty funny. The scenes with Herman, which is George Kennedy's character at the one hand. The fight scene, which is kind of not really not stereotype. What do you call it? Not choreographed, really. Not like you would see a choreographed fight now, but it was pretty exciting to watch. And the one-liner afterwards says, "Oh, where's Herman?" He says, "Oh, he's just hanging around. I left him hanging around somewhere." Yeah, George Kennedy had some very anger issues in this movie. And rightfully so, he lost a hand in the film. James Coburn playing the cowboy, kind of creepy. Sick-ass guy, I guess, slick. Ned Glass didn't even seem like he needed to be there. He was the weaker of the criminals. Probably, I guess he would have the even more, because he had allergies and he was sneezing all the time and he seemed like he was nervous all the time. And then of course the scene at the end at the columns, the scene where Cary Grant's chasing Audrey Hepburn from the train through Paris and then to the columns where they meet up with Walter Matthau, was an exciting scene, edge of your seat. Something that you never see Cary Grant do. I would have loved to seen Cary Grant as James Bond. He was actually asked to play James Bond in the first Bond film. It would have been interesting to see, but it wasn't his type of deal. It would have been interesting to see him at least play in Dr. No and see how that went. And then again, of course, of his age at the time too, he was older, and I don't know if he would have made it up to, past Thunderball or You Only Live Twice. And it might not have worked at all, so who knows? It would have been interesting to see Cary Grant. But it was good to see him here in an action film. Very believable. Another thing was that Audrey Hepburn also mentions, talks about his cleft chin. She said, "How you shave in that cleft chin?" Because that's the thing with Cary Grant. There's a running joke about his chin having a cleft in it. So, anyways, I'm just kind of rambling on here for 10 minutes, but good performances by all. Walter Matthau is not in there a whole lot. He shows up, has a mustache. turns out to be the bad guy in this film, which was kind of predictable. Except when I first watched it, I didn't think I was thinking James Coburn was the one who had the issue with killing people, but yeah, Walter Matthau did a good job. Of course, this was before The Odd Couple, a couple of years before The Odd Couple come out, and he had already been making films for about 10 years or so since then, in a good serious role. What else am I going to say? Nothing else. It's great. The film was shot beautifully. Paris looked great. The scenes that had it in there, especially the last scene, where you see a lot of the street scenes in the columns, was shot really well. So yeah, I would highly recommend picking up Charade. Great cast, great film if you into Hitchcock and want to watch a film that Hitchcock would be proud of. This would be the one. A lot of rambling going on. Took some meds and I don't know. Can't talk. You never could. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the other ones. Ramblings about this movie, Charade. I think it's Mike and James and Bob's are left to watch this and comment on it. So please leave your thoughts and comments below about the film. What you think of it, if you watched it, or you're going to pick it up. Talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.